What's going on out there, social media land? This is Dustin Sherman or Sherman Tank, and I have probably the most special person that I know. I almost said people. The most special person I know, my partner in crime. Actually, I'm her partner in crime. Sarah Boyer from Taking Back Anchorage. So we wanted to come on today and do a little recap of the rally yesterday. So give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure that everything's working like it's supposed to and we're going out like we're supposed to. You can go ahead and say hi to everybody, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. This is interesting. Never done this before.
You'll be a pro by the time I'm done with you. I'm just turning you up a little bit. Okay. So let me make sure that we are going actually live and everything's working like it's supposed to. Got to go to my profile, all that good stuff. All right, we're on there. So, anyway, so everything's working like it's supposed to. If you want to on your end, if you can look at your phone, which I think you're using for your video, unfortunately. If you have a laptop, you can see the comments.
I don't.
Okay. So I'm going to go and if I see a comment, then I can bring it to you.
Okay.
1 second here, and if there's any questions, then I can read it to you, and then you can answer. So it looks like we've already got about 10 people on. That's a good thing. So they're watching. So yesterday we had a rally at the Lusac Library again. You know, we seem to kind of, you know, we should almost like buy tents and camp out there, I think.
Right.
We know the place really well, and of course it's a Tuesday, so the assembly meets on Tuesdays. And tell everybody out there why we were there yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday we were there to protest the AO 2020 65 and 80, which 65 was taking away parental rights with regard to conversion therapy and therapy of any kind, really. The wording on it's horrible. And then 80 was restricting police use of force. So, which is not good. Our APD are great. So, yeah, we were there for those two. And then they also kind of tried to sneak the 79 in there, which was adding an equity officer.
Yeah, adding a new office.
Yeah, so like a whole new office. So that's why we were there yesterday. A lot of stuff got postponed till today, which I haven't even actually looked to see if anything happened with that. I don't know. Have you at all?
I haven't heard of anything yet. The only thing I know that happened today, which hasn't happened even since we've been rallying, is there was another rally today, but it was totally something off of what we've been doing. They were doing a rally for the hockey rink, which has been basically commandeered to house the homeless.
Yes.
And so the hockey moms and hockey dads were out there with their kids, and guess who happened to walk out on the to visit with them? Forrest Dunbar and Christopher Constant. And they have yet to come out to say anything to us.
Yeah.
That seems to be kind of a very contradictory thing. I think it might have had something to do with Forrest Dunbar is probably feeling a little pressure now that we have, you know, 3 mayoral candidates on the right and one announced yesterday.
I agree.
I think that has a lot to do with it because now he's starting to fall back.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to get out there. He's got to get out there and do his pandering job.
Yep.
And so we'll see how that goes. But yeah. So what was your thoughts on yesterday's rally?
Well, yesterday was a little bit crazy because I didn't really know about Dave being presented as the new mayoral. Oh my gosh, I'm saying that wrong.
Mayoral.
New candidate, mayoral, yeah, candidate. And so it was kind of okay. Sounds like a bad word, but it was distracting from the rally and the protests a little bit. But I get it, right? It's, you know, it is what it is. So it was a little bit. There was a really good turnout for the rain. We had a lot of rain, and there was a good amount of people that showed up, given the weather, which was nice. There were BLM protesters, which I tried to talk to a couple of the girls. Didn't go well. Within like 3 minutes, I was called Karen and a white supremacist. So it was unsuccessful. But, you know, one thing I did notice about them, and I know this is probably common knowledge for everybody, is that their signs are so negative.
Yep.
Right? Like one of them said, fuck the police. One said, AC,
And
AB,
a cab, yep.
or,
All cops are
yep,
bastards.
yep, all cops are bastards. And then APD kills. I'm
Hmm.
like, so yeah, there's that. But yeah, it was, I mean, I think it was good overall. It was just not kind of how I thought it was going to go. And I was late to it. And it was a little bit of a hot mess. Everyone was everywhere. But overall, I think it was good.
Well, we've had now what, 5 rallies or 4 rallies, something like that, that we've worked in conjunction with other groups, and so the 4 groups that are really kind of working together are Save Anchorage, Taking Back Anchorage, our group, Open Alaska, which theirs is mostly about the COVID mandates,
Hmm.
and the closures and stuff, and then Alaskans for Constitutional Rights, and they are working on lawsuits and stuff for the business owners that have closed.
Hmm.
And they're all the groups have their specific purpose, and they're all doing a really good job. In fact,
Hmm.
a core group of those groups are working together, and we're coordinating different events and different things, and we've kind of come together. It's kind of like a little family
Yeah.
unit going on there. So it's refreshing to be able to. It's kind of weird for me because I left a state that was having so much problems coming back up here, and we're walking right back into it. The difference between here and California is we have that core group of people working together and kicking ass at it.
Mm.
Um, and just some of the comments that I got yesterday from different people that were walking around. Now, keep in mind, it was raining yesterday, and we've been getting between 200 and 300 people, sometimes higher than that, at different events. Yesterday, we probably had, I'm going to assume, about 150 people, and we had some that came and went. So
Hmm.
there was quite a few. And the Antifa BLM group, there was probably what, maybe 20, 25.
Yeah, I think so about that.
And then there was 2 guys that we noticed that were up on the hill that I'm pretty
I saw
sure
them.
was running them. They never came down and participated. They never came down and talked to anybody. They were holding a sign, so they were on the BLM side, but they never came down and I'm sure that they were probably watching how they did in the crowds and stuff. Lots of young people
Lots.
with them. Most of them, I don't think there was one guy that I think that was probably over 30. The rest of them are all in their early 20s or younger.
Yep. Agreed.
So I did speak to one of them, young guy about 23 years old. And by the time I got done talking to the guy, I didn't go up being confrontational, and that's just not who I am. I went up, kind of filled him in on my thoughts on BLM, and I wasn't rude about it or nothing. I was just real nice to him. By the time it was done, the conversation we had, I got a fist bump out of the guy. I
Nice.
was probably the only one that went that far. I'm like, hey, this is your right to come out here and do this, and I just happen to disagree with you, and we got to keep it peaceful and we got to keep it civil. So,
Hmm.
and he agreed, and we fist bumped, and that was about it. I respect him for that.
Hmm.
Not all of those people in that group were like that, though.
No,
There was a
no.
lot of pushy ones,
Yes.
and they were determined that they were going to get their way. And in fact, when I walked up, all they were playing was loud rap music with vulgar language, and and there was a church group there for Mike Robbins
Yeah.
singing to him. And it was great, actually. I
Yeah.
kind of enjoyed that part of it. So now we have 3 mayoral candidates. We have Bill Evans, we have Mike Robbins. He announced at the back of the Blue Rally, and then we have Dave Bronson. So we
Hmm.
have a pretty big field in on the conservative side, and on the other side we have the main one is a sitting assembly member right now, and that is Dunbar.
Yes.
So, what's your thoughts on? I know it's early in the race; it's early with people. What do you think is the most important thing for the conservative side to do and not do? And you're just getting into this whole thing, so I completely understand.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important thing that the conservatives can do right now, as far as choosing somebody?
Well, I think, I again, like you said, I'm new to this, and so I'm kind of coming at it from a little bit of a fresh perspective, and that I haven't been in politics pretty much at all until Donald Trump announced his presidency. And so for me, I'm looking at it from a little bit of a fresh perspective. and a logical perspective. I'm not very jaded
Mhm.
yet. But
That'll
I
come.
do think exactly, yeah. I kind of feel it happening, and I have to put myself in check. But I do think that it is important that we get to know our candidates, get to know what they are about, what their policies are, what their views are, and then we get behind one as strongly as we can. I think it's very important that we do not split the vote and that we do not, um, we'll lose if we do that. I think so. Logically, we have to get behind the candidate, and I've heard mixed things about a few of the candidates, um, and really good things about some of them, and so I am looking forward to getting to know them more and figuring out what they're about. Who is more for what and whatnot. And then, towards the end of the year, the beginning of the year, getting behind somebody that we can confidently, uh, you know, put behind or stand behind them and support them as much as we can to take us in a better direction. The absolute worst thing we can do is let Dunbar win.
Right.
He's horrible. He is a treasonous, you know, clown,
Right.
honestly. He
Well,
really is. He's very bad.
and his action today actually kind of screams that, where
Yes.
we've had 2 or 3 rallies at the Lusac Library, and the last one we had, not yesterday's, but the one before that, there was easily 300-400 people there. I mean, it was a big event, and the mayor and half of them snuck their way in without even going through the crowd or talking to anybody. You'd think that if you were trying to win anybody over for the vote, for your mayoral race, that you would want to stop and talk to somebody, at least try and change their mind. That's not the case with the left. They have their base. They know what they are. They're going to play it as long as they can. And then, of course, today, I don't know if they see us as threatening or how it works, but they would rather go out there and talk to a bunch of soccer moms rather than they would a bunch of business owners, and that kind of speaks volumes to their mentality. So I think that it's one of those things where all these groups here in Anchorage, I think it's important that we support the candidates. I don't necessarily mean that we got to go out there and run their campaign or help their campaign out, but giving them a platform to run their campaign on is a good thing. That way they can run their own races. People are gonna decide with however they want to, and we're just kind of a platform for them to do that. Now, the one thing that I don't think that we should allow, and this is entirely up to you because it is your page, you created it, you are the god on that page. I don't think that we need to be allowing bashing, and I hope that on the conservative side we don't see that.
Yeah.
I do know that this election is probably one of the most important ones in Anchorage in a long, very, very long time. So, I hope that everybody on the conservative side runs a clean race. And I look forward to seeing some of the debates, and I look forward to speaking to them a little bit more. I did meet Mike Robbins at the Back the Blue rally. I spoke to him a little bit. My verdict is still out on that. I did get a chance to say hi to Dave, shake his hand. I didn't get a chance to really go through a whole lot with him. I was like a chicken with my head cut off yesterday at the rally. So, but anyone that's watching this too, we one thing to remember when you come to the rallies, and I'm putting this out as a disclaimer. Be kind, be gentle, be soft. Your words and everything speak volumes for the group. If you're on the conservative side and you do something crazy, guess what? It makes everybody in the group look bad. So we've had a couple instances where I've had to say something to somebody, Cyrus had to say something to somebody, and we want everybody to be kind of copacetic and on the same page as much as possible. That being said, if something happens to you, I'm not responsible when you defend yourself, and we hope that you do. But the one thing to remember is the Black Lives Matter group, or the Antifa group, whatever you want to call them, they did double in size from one rally to the next.
Yes.
So, coming out, maybe it may not be the greatest idea if we continue to build and they continue to build, it may not be the greatest idea to bring out little kids to some of these things, just because we don't want them injured or hurt. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but really think about it before you bring them out.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy things in my time in California, and Alaska is not immune from some of the stuff that's happened down south. We've seen some things happen up here already. So actually, out in your area, something happened. Did you see that the Yellow Rock got painted black?
Yep, I sure did.
With BLM letters on it?
Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to go by with and put an O in front of lives.
Black olives. Yeah, black olives matter. So, we do get a little bit of that up here, but, for the most part, Alaskans are pretty sane. At least most of us are. I know that we're talking a little bit. We talked a little bit, chatted about it today. Tell us what you think about like a town hall kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually have started to reach out to the mayoral. I can't say that word. I'm gonna stop trying. I can't. It's bad for me. I had to go to speech. When I was in first grade, they had to put me in speech class, so words are still a little bit interesting for me sometimes. But I reached out to one of the candidates, and well, not him specifically, but one of their team members, and kind of did a feeler for if they would be willing to do a town hall to get to know us and vice versa. And she is going to get back to me. So it was good feedback and everything. And I just haven't had a chance to do it with the other people, but I will this weekend for sure. I think it's important for everyone to kind of know who these people are.
Right.
I mean, I've obviously heard of Bill Evans, but really, I don't know who he is really. Mike Robbins I met at the Back of Blue Rally, and then I have not met Dave. So I do think it's important for us to get to know who they are, ask them questions, that we want to ask them, because at some point they're going to stop being as accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start doing, their own thing and going down the path of their race. And one of the things that I've always hated, right, about the what are they called? The conferences that the mayor does,
Mm-hmm.
is that the only people that ask questions are the media,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, these are so weak. These questions suck. It's like literally
softballs.
Yes. I'm like, can we ask some questions? Like,
right.
Can we call in? So I do think it's important while it's still fresh, while they're just announcing, to really get them and ask some good questions, like really good, important questions that are necessary for us to know where they stand. So,
well, and here's the thing that I want people to that may not have seen at least the two new ones. Bill, he's been running, I guess, for a year. He's put his candidacy in a while back. I have yet to see him, meet him, talk to him, anything.
mm-hmm.
Again, Mike Robbins was at the Back to Blue Rally a couple weeks ago, and I know that Dave has been he's been a little more active, I think, in the community as far as the activism stuff goes. And he's been to a couple of the assembly meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and he got a little notice from that. And I think that a lot of people are asking, who's Dave and what's he mean? And, Mike has been around for a while. Everybody kind of knows Mike from owning radio stations. And, so he's a little more well-known, I think, in town. But I think, there's always that underdog kind of thing. And I think Dave is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, I think a lot of people know him. But again, I've never met him myself. So right now it's kind of a crapshoot. It's early in the race. The thing happens in April.
Mm-hmm.
We still got to get through November, which is the big election. And we're praying to God that goes the right way. And hopefully in November, some of the COVID stuff will start to go away and we can start getting into the assembly meetings and we can start doing some stuff that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to cover another thing that we've been working on. At least I have been working on it. You've been a little bit of a part of it too, and that's the recalls that we've been just a little.
I haven't done nothing with that. I like that. I blessed you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody, not whoever. I know who is. Everybody that's working on that. I'm just like, I tip my hat, man. Like that is not at all anything I'm interested in. I understand the reason and the purpose and the need for it 100%, but I just it's like I don't know enough about it
Right.
to feel confident enough to help with it. So I appreciate you guys taking that flag and running with it because I am not the one.
Well, to be honest with you, before this, I had never done it. I think most of us have never done it. So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of disinformation that's been handed out. And we've kind of waded through those waters a little bit. And we think we have at least a plan put together to recall a bunch of the, at least attempt to recall a bunch of the assembly members that need to go. So for those out there who don't get how it works, you have to put in an application for a recall. So you got to get like 2 sponsors and then 10 people that are in the district of the person that you're trying to recall. And then after that, and if it's approved, then you get the petitions, and then you got to have a percentage of the people in that district fill it out. And then if they do get recalled, the assembly gets to choose who goes back in that spot. The idea behind it would be to just kind of keep them busy and keep them flip-flopping their candidates and the people that they put in there until we get better conservative people in there or until another election happens. Right now, the assembly in Anchorage is extremely heavily left-wing. Yep. There's like 2 conservatives or 2 normal people. I'm not gonna say conservative. I'm gonna say 2 normal people that are sitting there. The rest of them are like, I mean, if they had a wing, they could literally fly around the room in circles the wrong way. They're so heavily left wing, and they fit perfectly with this mayor.
Yeah.
And they've done so many things that's been completely partisan. It's ridiculous. They don't want to listen to anything that the public has to say. Do you know how many people actually on that 5-day testimony? Do you know how many people testified? It was like 100 and something, wasn't it?
Yes, Thad, I forget his last name. He actually did a graph on that a few weeks ago. And I think, if I can remember accurately, it was like 70% were negative or something, or close to 70% were against the ordinance for 66. And it's just incredible, you know. And what really frustrated me is, like, I had my aha moment kind of with, I'm somebody that's always like, the glass is definitely half full. Like, I'm more of a positive person than a negative any day of the week. I think it's draining to be negative. But I remember sitting out there at like 10:30 at night, you know, at that assembly meeting where they were voting on 66, and we're all there, and there's like probably 35 of us, 40 of us left. And we're sitting out there, and I'm listening to it on my phone. I have it out, and we're all listening. And like 2 or 3 of them said we were racist. And I think I looked up and I was like, they don't give a shit. Like, They literally do not care what we have to say. They're going to do what they want to do, you know. And I appreciate Weddleton had, I think, his own moment where he was like, okay, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, and I appreciated, you know, that he went there and everything, but most of them were just like, meh, we better go ahead and do it, you know, like, and it's incredibly infuriating, you know. And then with this day, you know, with Dunbar and Constant going out on the grass, and it's just like, it's another slap in the face.
Yep.
You know, it's like, oh, we'll come out here and talk to these people because it's not about really any of the ordinances we're trying to pass. This more has to do with, ooh, hey, let's go out there and talk to them and let them know, hey, if you're on board with these, you know, us buying these buildings, you'll get your hockey rinks back. And it's just like, it's like, yuck.
They're holding the hockey rink hostage, essentially, is what they're trying to do. Yeah. For those that you don't know, if you're down south or whatever and you're listening in, the city of Anchorage wants to buy, or the mayor and the assembly wants to buy 4 buildings for $22 million to house the 3 to house the homeless, and 1 is a treatment center. And it's basically, this whole thing has kind of turned even what I would normally consider liberal people against the mayor, because a lot of these liberal folks are wealthy, they're well off, and he's dumping one of these things right in the middle of their neighborhood. Yep. And we've met a few of them. I'm not gonna divulge any names, but they're not happy, and I completely understand why they're not happy. Their candidate that they chose is completely turned their back on them. So I think that that's a good thing for us. It's a bad thing for Anchorage. But, I think that whoever on our side gets in there, I think they will probably reverse this because that'll make them like the most popular mayor ever. I hope so.
Yeah.
The thing is we need to have somebody in there that, and this is my opinion. Okay. So we have the biggest rebel on the planet in the White House. Okay. He got there for a reason because the people liked what he had to say. He's a business guy. He understands business. He was very vocal on a bunch of different key issues, and he's stuck to them, and he's accomplished a lot of things. And that's what the American people want. The working people, the blue collar citizens of this country want someone that has done that kind of work and isn't afraid to say what they feel. And even if it's strong language, and I'm not saying that he's got to go up there and cuss anybody out or call them out and do all that kind of crazy stuff, but we don't need somebody in there that is whoever it is that wins. We don't need someone in there that's going to be a pushover. And Dunleavy sounded really strong when he first took over and everything else, and then the recall happened. They tried to recall him, and he's kind of shrunk down a little bit.
Now.
Yeah, he's kind of scared that that's going to happen, and he's kind of backed away from a lot of stuff that he promised, and we don't need that in the city.
Yep.
So. 100%. So what do you think? What do you think in your mind? What do you think our next move is? I know we have a little, we have a little break, for a few days, hopefully a week maybe, and then work on something else.
We talked about rallying in front of a media source.
I think I think it's a great idea because. Someone shared an article with us. We had like 300-400 people at the Back the Blue rally. Yeah. And instead of stating that, instead of stating that, the media, I think it was KTVA, KTUU or KTVA, came out and said we had dozens of people there, not hundreds, mind you, dozens of people. So I think it's about time that we go out and remind the media that we are paying attention and we're not going to take that crap anymore. And that we deserve a fair and honest and non-biased media.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, when we go out here and we do these rallies and we do these protests, again, coming from an outsider's perspective, if you will, and going to the media and doing that one, I don't envision the goal being that they're going to listen. Okay, they're still going to be left wing and they're still going to, twist the truth and fit it to their narrative, right? But I do think what it does is show that there's people that are standing up, and I encourage everyone that is watching to stand up. If anyone would have told me like, hey, Sarah, 10 years from now, like when I was like in my mid-20s, they would have been like, 10 years from now, you're going to start a group and it's going to be kind of politically based. You're going to be doing rallies and you're going to be doing protests and like all this. I would have been like, okay, but the silent majority, it's very scary. I don't post a ton of stuff on my personal page because I'm scared to, I have reasons for that, and everything, but it's getting to the point where I'm kind of getting over it.
Right.
Where I've started to post a few things that are a little bit more political, and that's because I've gotten into it more, but we have got to stop. We're in the defense right now. We're definitely in defensive mode, and we have to stop being in defensive mode.
Right.
We're all so much like we're individuals, right? Just leave us alone. Let me provide for my family. Let me work and come home and do what I need to do at my house and do it the next day. I don't want you to bother me, and I won't bother you. And that's gotten us to the place where we're at right now, where people that are not like that and that can network like a mother and, take this country and just, feed it through the grinder pretty much. They've gone a long way, and we've sat back and kind of watched it happen, unfortunately. So time for us to stand up.
You know what I find interesting? Okay. So, I myself was out of work for like 3 months. And I know half the country was that way. Literally everyone's on unemployment and they're making their $600 a week or whatever it is. And here's the one thing that I think happened in this country that woke a lot of people up. What happens when that $600 from the government runs out? A lot of people didn't save. They had to spend the money on their bills. You know, luckily we had enough to get through. My wife was still getting a paycheck. But, you know, in most households now, it takes 2 paychecks to make your bills and stuff due, or pay your bills. And I think that 2 things happened. I think it woke people up, but I also think that we missed an opportunity nationwide, not just in Alaska, but nationwide. That was our chance to stand up and do this stuff across the country, right? Do these rallies during the week when the people are in session. That's what we missed out on. Now, in Anchorage, we're still able to get it done on Tuesdays because everyone knows that that's when it happens. And luckily, it happens right at 5 o'clock when everybody's getting off work. So a lot of these rallies that we're sharing and a lot of these events that we're sharing is after people get off work during the week. And that's why we're getting a lot of big turnouts.
Yeah.
Now down south, they don't do like sessions and stuff except for during the day. So it's kind of hard for people to get there. So we get lucky by being able to address these issues with, well, we haven't been able to do it with them, but we've been able to do it in the same area that they're in so that they hear us. And boy, the one rally, boy, they really heard us. The horn honking, the walking the mayor out to his car. They thought we were a riot and there was like 20 people there.
Right.
You know, so I mean, that's all great stuff. So real quick, I'm going to go to my live feed and I'm going to see if there's any questions that people have or any comments that they've shared. I'm going to go back to the beginning because we haven't covered any of them. So Jeff Furman says, "Put me in a hockey stick near the put me in a hockey stick near Constant, and I don't know if I could avoid a body check." I'm with you there, and I think you'd win. I'm pretty sure you'd win. Let's see. Jared Dunbar. The best thing that we can do when approaching someone in that group is to ask them for questions and inquire what they are standing for and make them explain themselves. They will quickly find that they usually don't know what they're standing for or what they're saying. And I agree with that. A lot of times you can ask these people that are there, they have no idea. They've either been paid to be there, they're there with a friend, they're checking it out. You know, young people do that. They show up at something to fit in. So it kind of becomes a peer pressure thing.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got here. Elizabeth Gale. She's from, I think, Open Alaska, right?
I think so, yes.
I think she's from Open Alaska. Yes, we absolutely need one conservative candidate for all to rally behind. Divided we fall. Amen, Elizabeth. So we've got 21 people watching. That's a pretty good turnout this late at night. So we've done a pretty good job. Let's see here. I'm gonna go down and see if I can find one more. I seen one a minute ago that I actually liked. So, okay, this is from Jean Bowman.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean. Glad you're watching. She's kind of like our secret squirrel in one of our little chat groups we have. She's our fact checker, backer. She looks at profiles and stuff before we get in the groups, and she's awesome.
Yes.
We appreciate Jean. We really do.
Very much so. An angel.
She says, I hear from a reliable source that one of the BLM protesters told an 8-year-old girl with a church group she better get her effing ass back to where she belonged because this girl walked between her group and theirs. I mean, that's the mentality of these people, right? So
some of these people.
Is it? Yeah, some not our rally group, but the BLM protesters and stuff.
But the guy that gave you a fist pump, you know, and I think that what Jared was talking about is important. I think it's easy to allow them to get us riled up. And just to kind of go on a little side chant here, like everything that's happening in the lower 48, we're watching up here, right? So yes. we're seeing bad things happening down there, and then you see the seed of it happening up here, and so it gets us really mad.
Yep.
And it understandably so, 100%. I am right there with you. It's very frustrating, makes my stomach sick when I watch some of the videos, you know. But I do think it's very important that if we do approach them, if we do talk to them, that we're taking the high ground, and you never know what will stick with them.
Hmm.
What something you said may kind of stick in the back of their head, and then it will be with them, and then the next time maybe they'll see something else, or whatnot. But us being the aggressor, or us just yelling back at them, it doesn't solve anything. I'm gonna get this out of my hand. It's probably annoying. Um,
It's okay. I have a
but
soda
like,
can here. I got to take a drink every once in a while,
yeah,
so I get
yeah.
it.
But like, that's not going to solve anything. All it's going to do is antagonize them more, and then it's going to antagonize us more. So you got to think about it in a smart way. And I think a lot of the problem that we're experiencing as a nation has to do with the media. Okay, and
Oh
I
yeah.
know most everybody knows that, but if you think of it that way, it's not necessarily their fault. I know. Don't hit me, but it's tough to blame them completely for the way they feel. I remember a couple years ago, actually, I grew up knowing the whole thing is guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? I remember that from when I was young, and or sorry, people kill people. What is it? Guns don't kill people, people
People
kill
kill
people.
people.
Yes,
Yep.
I was right. So, and I remember one of the shootings happened, and I was driving with my brother. We were going to get some sushi, and I was like, I don't know, Ryan, like, this is crazy. Maybe we need to, like, think about, like, you know, pulling back on guns. And he goes, Sarah. He like looks at me like, who are you? And I'm like, well, no, I'm just saying there's been another shooting. And he's like, Sarah. And he recited it back to me, and I'm like, no, you're right. You're right. Like, and I even had a moment of weakness because it was like, it's so prevalent in the media,
Yeah.
right? And if you're only seeing, if you talk about, I think it was last year in 2019, there was 13 black men that were killed by cops, and it was like double how many white guys were killed by cops, and there's that statistic. But do you ever really hear about any of the white guys? No, you only hear about. I mean, I know saying that to them doesn't do much, but knowing that and seeing what the media puts out there, it's like, how can you blame people for feeling the way they feel if all they're given is this information that the media is feeding them over and over again,
Well, here's
So,
here's kind of the way I look at the media. Okay, so they've become very selective with what they take. Right, they're
hmm
only going to go with what gets them ratings. They're only going to go with what plays on the emotional heartstrings of
yep,
everybody out there. I'll give you an example of that. Okay, so right now they're real big on kind of the race baiting kind of thing where a black guy gets shot. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, the country feels for the family. They feel for what happens. But at the same time, then you see a little 7 or 8 year old white kid get shot in the head by a perpetrator, and no media coverage. Brandon Tennant,
yeah,
I think is his name. Young kid out riding his bicycle. His dad is out watching him riding his bicycle. Guy walks up, puts a bullet, puts a gun to his head and pulls a trigger. They got the guy, but no media coverage over that. Now they have another guy that they just another black man that just got killed fighting the cops. The guy had a knife on him. He was reaching in his car. They shot and killed him in his car. Well, he was,
yeah. Well,
they don't
yeah,
know what he's reaching for.
he had sexual assault
Yeah.
charges, and he had resisting arrest stuff. Like, they knew that before going into that
Hmm.
situation. But there was a meme I saw today. It was like, can we wait for the ballistics before we go
Right.
ballistic?
Right. That's 100%
and,
sure.
and it's like, it's true, because they've burnt down I think a furniture store. They burnt down
Oh,
a car dealership.
hundred, and that was a car dealership that was backing Black Lives
Yes,
Matter.
yes,
100 cars. It's insane.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and then then there's a little bit of an outrage over a shooting that happened in Wisconsin, or actually it was Illinois. A young guy was being chased by Black Lives Matter
yeah,
or
yep,
Antifa, whatever you want to call them tomorrow. Falls on the ground. One guy swings at him with the skateboard. Another guy tries to kick him in the head. He pulls up a gun and shoots two of them and kills them, and shoots the third guy in the arm. And the videos are everywhere. It was on TMZ.
yes,
And everything. And you know what? The guy was literally defending himself. One of the guys the guy he shot in the arm had a handgun. He was defending
hmm
himself, bar
yep,
none. But they've already charged the DA or whatever's already charged him for murder.
yep,
So it's selective media. They're not telling the entire truth. I got interviewed yesterday by a station here, and anytime I get interviewed, I make sure that I have the entire interview filmed because they like to cut and splice things.
Yeah.
That's what they did to Trump his entire campaign. And anybody that goes to a protest that does get approached by any of the media here, except for Must Read Alaska and Alaska Watchman and a few others, make sure you record your interview because you want something that if they change it, you got proof that they changed it. It's always a good idea to have a backup. So let's talk about the little weekend that we had at where we went out and went shooting. This is a little off topic. It's not the rally stuff, but me and my wife and another friend took Sarah out shooting, and she's pretty much a natural. Yeah, she's a badass with a gun. So guys out there that are chasing Sarah here, don't piss her off because she will shoot you. No, it's I think it's important that everybody. The reason I did that was I think it's important for everybody to be around that kind of stuff, and I think it's important for someone to be able to protect themselves. And for me, going out there and doing that for other people is kind of like me blowing off steam. It's like, we've worked our butts off for like 3 weeks on these rallies and stuff, and it's like you got to just find some kind of a release and just get away from it. And making loud noises with explosives is always fun. So why not? Yeah. So, the rallies and stuff that we've done in Anchorage has kind of become a big family. You're starting to see people, you see it every one of them, and it's really cool. There's a guy, and I have not got his name yet. And every time I see him, I'm either like in the hurry to go somewhere, or I'm probably friends with him on Facebook, but I have not seen him. And every time I see him, his eyes light up, and he comes over and shakes my hand, and it's like, that guy's the coolest guy on the planet. It's like, man, why can't I remember your name? I know he's giving it to me. Probably at Kreiner's Diner, actually, when we went to that one. But I cannot remember his name. Some people I remember really easy, and some people I don't. And so next time I see him, I gotta make sure I get his name down. So, what are your thoughts? I know we're talking about doing the rally at one of the news stations.
Yes.
What do you foresee in the next couple months?
Well, that's the next vision, is to go to, obviously, the a news outlet, right? It's been very interesting this past. I feel like it's been a month. I think tomorrow will be a month that the group has been up, and it's been like the craziest month. It's gone very quickly, but it also feels like it's gone very slow. I don't know if you can kind of relate to that, but it feels like it's been 6 months and it's only been a month, but it's also gone very fast. But one of the things that I think in the next few months I would like to work on is getting people registered to vote.
Yep.
I think that's important. I don't know the best approach to that. I haven't really had a chance to really think about it. But it was very nice to see. I went and talked to a couple younger men at the Back the Blue rally who were wearing MAGA hats, and I thanked them for coming. I said, I appreciate you guys being here. This is your future, and it's important that you reach out to your friends and everything and get them out here as well. Talking to the youth about things is important, but I think there's a lot of people that aren't even registered to vote. I mean, there's been races I haven't voted in because I was like, meh about it, right? I've voted in every like presidential race, but local ones, when I was younger, probably not until I was like 24, honestly. So I don't think people understand the importance of it. There was a gentleman in the very beginning of the group, and he got a little bit of flack, and I haven't seen him on, and he probably left the group because people kind of give him some crap, which I understand why. People want to go with this. They want to get mad at people that don't vote because it's like it's your fault,
Right.
And it's like it's not just their fault,
Right.
And I understand why, right? it's that person times 10,000 that aren't going and voting, and that's what's creating the problem.
Right.
But people literally, he's like, I don't, I'm living my life and I don't have time for it. And I get that. I do understand that. The problem with it is, he's like, my downtime, I like to go hiking and fishing or whatever, And I'm like, okay, but you do realize that we're trying to fight and vote people in that will continue to allow you to hike
Right.
and fish.
Right.
I don't think people ever think that it's going to go to a place where they're not going to have freedom. But if you haven't been alive in the last 5 months, we haven't been free.
Right. Probably haven't been free in about, I don't know, 150 years. And we got to retain what we have.
Yeah. But I mean, like with COVID and everything, how easily was it easy for them to just shut us down completely?
Yep.
We didn't do anything. I mean, we didn't go anywhere. And I'm an extroverted introvert. Like I love people, but I also can spend an entire week when not talk to anybody and I'm good.
Right.
So for me, being like that 2 weeks was fine, right? I was like, it's not a big deal to me. But there's a lot of people out there that really messes with them and their psyche, and they're like, I need people.
Well, it's almost like up here, we really, really value our summers, right? The sun's out. We got to go fishing, camping, whatever we want to do, and then all of a sudden they throw COVID on you, and you're like stuck in your house, and you don't want to go out and do anything. And you can't go into any stores, and you're wearing this. It's almost like we had to go through a second winter during the summertime. And most of Alaskans by now are like, you know what, screw that shit. We're gonna go out and do what we want to do. And the rallies are kind of a testament to that because, one, we don't social distance. Two, I don't know how many masks, but it's not very many that show up at these things. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the media, half the time, whenever they show up, they're not wearing their masks. The camera guys are not wearing their masks. Yep. So, I think
a vast majority of people are over it, or they're over it to the point where they're not, staying inside. They're not wearing a mask, or they're over it to the point where they're just like, "We just wear a mask so we can get back to normal."
Right.
And it's like, and that's not, it's like that's not the answer though. Like, right. Why, Yeah. So, but yeah, voting I think is something I want to focus on the next couple weeks. But one of the things I've noticed over the last month is that it's like a full-time job to keep track of the assembly and what they try to do. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, this is postponed. No, this is postponed. No, this isn't postponed anymore. And now we're going to vote on this. And here's this bill. And here's the. I'm like, good night. So, yes, in the next couple months, I want to get people registered to vote. But it's also, I don't know what they're going to try to spring.
Right.
On us,
Here's the thing. Here's this kind of a staggering statistic for Anchorage. So I found out, this is through a somebody that backs candidates, what the percentage was on the voters that voted in the last mayoral race, which would have been Berkowitz. There was only 30%. 30% out of 300,000 people. That's pretty ridiculous. I mean, that's not even close to half. I mean, so you've got what, 180,000 that didn't vote. That's just off the top of my head. So that's a lot of people, a lot of votes that are being missing and everything. But luckily this year, I don't know if you heard how many absentee ballots were put in for the primary, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
Last year there was 5,000 or 6,000 absentee ballots put in. This year was 85,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, big increase. And that right there kind of shows you, or is a testament to how fed up the citizens are. Now that's statewide. Yeah. That number was statewide. So that includes Fairbanks and, us to Fairbanks, the Slope, whatever. And, luckily we got really fortunate that we had a lot of good winners.
Yes.
We're flipping, getting rid of some of the ones that have been in there that are not helping. They're hurting the state. Yeah. So, and I've met some of the winners. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting a few of them, and I'm glad that they won. I actually like what they stand for and mm-hmm. who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we can continue that trend all the way through April.
Yeah. Well, and I just feel like, I don't understand how people can't connect the dots to what's happening in the cities that are run by Democrats.
Right.
And all the chaos that's happening down there, right? And then you have, the assembly trying to pass, to limit the use of force for police officers.
Hmm.
And it's like, you guys, it's happening. And I've been trying to post out in the Matsu Valley. Um, Also, and I've created a couple enemies.
Oh, I'm sure.
Couple girls don't like me out there, but that's okay. But just to letting them know, you guys are 45 minutes away, right? And there's a lot of land to build out there.
Oh
There's no
yeah.
more land here. And there's been two times in the past like 2 weeks that I've happened to stumble upon. Okay. I'm not looking actively. It's just like I'm in the comment section here and there of people that have made a bad comment about like Trump or conservatives or whatever. And I go to their profile. I have screenshots to prove it. And they are from California and now live in the Matsu Valley.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, like, people are moving up here or they're moving into Anchorage and they're like, oh, I can get more money, bang for my buck out in the valley. So they're
Yep.
moving to the valley to buy a house because you can, because there's land. And they're bringing their values and their beliefs up here, and whatever brings them up here, whether it's that they're, trying to flee California or just some kind of job opportunity. I'm not sure, obviously, but it's scary to think of that. And people are fleeing California to move to Texas, and there's active signs out that'll say "Don't California my Texas," which is
Hmm.
awesome because it's true. Like, you're moving from
Yeah.
a state that you don't want to be in anymore, or city that you don't want to be anymore, because the taxes are too high, or it's there's people pooping on the streets or whatever, and you're moving to a red state. It's like, don't bring that here.
Right.
I do think that people are starting to kind of wake up and recognize, like, this isn't good. Like, even if people have, there's a post I made the other day on Save Anchorage and on Taking Back Anchorage. It said, even though your pain is understandable, it doesn't like excuse your behavior or something
Right.
like that. And it's true to what's happening right now. It's like, if you're upset, you're valid for being upset for something, but it doesn't mean you get to go and ruin somebody else's life.
Right.
Um, and that's exactly what's happening. It's not, and people are looting in Wisconsin right now. There's a video before I went on Twitter about them walking into a bunch of people walking into Target and just looting and then like knocking over stuff, and the person that posted, it's like, reasons we don't know, like, they're just doing it to do it.
Yep.
And it's that kind of stuff, that kind of behavior, and allowing it to happen for how many days has it been? Like 2 months or something that
It's
they've been,
it's
or a month?
it's been at least 2 months of the
Yeah,
riots and stuff in Portland, and I
yeah,
don't remember what day it's up to, but it's up a bunch, and then they're
yeah.
supposed to start more. And just kind of reading stuff, they're supposed to start more in like the middle of September. They're going to try and go and do stuff in DC. They're and the scary thing is a lot of these people are going into suburbs now.
Yep.
We've seen people in videos and stuff trying to go into different suburbs, trying to force people out of their homes. I mean, we're in like really a really sketchy, scary time
Yes.
where the wrong situation or the wrong action can literally turn a city into an actual war zone. Not just like a shooting here or there. It can turn it into a war zone.
Yeah.
And you've got the conservatives, which have really held their uh, uh, let's put it that they've held their shit together a lot longer than what I think this country would have 200 years ago.
Yep.
I said this on an interview a while back. You push an animal into a corner, eventually it's going to bite you.
Yep.
And right now, that's what they're doing with conservatives right now. They're really pushing people into the corner, and eventually we're going to lash out and bad stuff's going to happen. And
Yep.
none of us want to do that. None of us want to see
No.
that happen. But you can only push somebody so far before they react.
Yep.
And it's just human nature. I mean, we're not going to
Yep.
sit there and take a beating. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Agree.
eventually, the way I look at it, with all the crap that's going on, if people are not paying attention, not waking up, and not seeing what's going on, it's their own faults. They've got a computer in the freaking hand. They've got literally the world at a touch of a finger. I mean, they
Hmm.
can look up anything they want. The history, they can look up. Well, history is kind of getting erased even online. So here's the one thing, parents out there, take your kids to the library, open up an encyclopedia. There used to be a thing that we used to get every year when I was a kid. It was called the Encyclopedia Britannica,
Yep.
and I did my president reports and stuff out of those.
Yeah.
So maybe a good idea to see if you could find one of those like in a garage sale or something and take them home, because that is the true history of our country. The stuff that they're peddling right now is nothing even close.
And I do think that we have it's like a blessing in disguise. And I know it's very challenging for parents. And that's the thing, like you mentioning being out of work for 3 months. Like I haven't lost a dime through this COVID thing. I've been able to work from home. But I'm one of those people, I don't know what you call it, but I can easily see, somebody else's situation and be like, I couldn't imagine, like having to, maybe get a call or get a, hey, you can't work anymore. Like, ooh, I couldn't imagine. So, but the thing with with it all, I think, with the homeschooling is, I think it's actually kind of a blessing in disguise. And if you can go to a place, if you can, rework your life to be able to homeschool your children, I think it's actually a really good opportunity for parents to go that route. They're teaching little kids stuff that they shouldn't be teaching little kids. And I'm
Right.
not saying every teacher is, and I'm not trying to lump everybody into one, but there was a testimony in last night's assembly meeting that talked about how a 5-year-old came home from school and said, "Oh, mom, do you know that I can be?" This 5-year-old little boy. "Do you know that I can be a girl if I wanted to?" 5 years old, and it's like can we stop for a second and recognize that I think most people, whether you agree with it or not, are fine with adults doing kind of whatever they want to do, right? Like, it's you do you, boo boo. But like when you're talking about a 5-year-old, 5-year-olds want to cross the road without looking both ways.
Right.
Okay, they eat French fries off the ground when they fall. Okay, they like splashing in mud puddles and don't know how to brush their teeth properly, and we're going to try to teach them about gender identity. It's just, come on, like at some point you have to stop and go back. But with that happening, actually, I think it's a blessing in disguise. And if parents can get to a point where they can homeschool or get them into some kind of private school system or something other than public education, I mean, it's even in, universities. I never went to college, and I'm just not a learner in that way. I don't thrive in a classroom.
Right.
But, you know, in order to get a degree in, something like rocket science, you have to take women's history.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
why does that fit in there?
Why is that fitting there? It's like a prerequisite for it's weird, So, but yeah, I do think that homeschooling children and stuff, it's actually an opportunity. And even though it sucks, like if you can do that, I think it's really good, because what's being pushed right now to the kids is not good in a lot of.
Well, and here's how you tell that some of the institutions that are out there are doing bad things. So there was a story last week, I believe, where the teachers in this one certain school district, I'm not sure, or certain school, don't want the parents listening into the
Tennessee,
learning, right? And
Tennessee, yep.
And whenever they turn the computer around, it's a picture of a Black Lives Matter logo, and I mean, it's gotten so out of hand. Whenever I was a kid, the parents had a chance to be involved in the kids' learning. Mm-hmm. Now it's like they don't want the parents anywhere near it.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was not a very good student, I used to get deficiency reports sent home all the time. My parents never knew about them because I always beat the mail there. So, yeah.
I remember waiting by the phone, when they'd call to let me know that, or let my parents know that I was absent for the day. I'm like, "Oh, Josie's gonna call me real quick, Mom." "Oh, okay." Yeah.
I had a special little spot in my house. I swear to God, I did. This is hilarious. So we had our bathroom. You could sit on the toilet and you could see underneath the bathtub. It was a closet, right? You had the bathtub and then there was a closet. And I would take these letters, I'd hide them in my pocket. I'd go in the bathroom and do what I had to do in the bathroom, and then I would slide them underneath the tub as far back as I could possibly go, so they would never be found. Well, one year we decided to remodel the bathroom. There's like 20 of them in there, and they were like 10 years old. So I still graduated high school. I still got my grades and stuff up like I should have. But I'm kind of like you. I'm more of a hands-on learner. I'd rather have my
Mm-hmm.
hands on something and working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But being lectured kind of sucks. I had to get my grades up because I played sports, and even sports in school now is actually on a downturn. You're not
Yeah.
seeing as many people playing football, basketball, baseball, wrestling. You're not seeing that stuff as much. And excuse me, I think a lot of that is because they've taken the competitiveness out of
Yep.
school.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy, and I mean, in some instances that may be a good thing, but sports and competitiveness need to be something that you always want to thrive to be better than the other guy, right? That's
Yeah.
the way that we should be.
Yep.
If you look at two cavemen and they're fighting over something, one's going to starve and one's not going to starve, or they
Yep.
could share it and they could both eat.
Yep.
But you have to strive to be. If you're on your own, you got to strive to be good enough to survive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that teaches you.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's just like the I forget what it's called, but where they let in specifically purposely they let in African Americans into like Harvard and Princeton and everything. And they're smart. They're adequate learners and they're great, but they're not that level. Like I couldn't get into Harvard or Princeton. I mean, we're talking about a group of people that have to be super smart, right? And if they would have just let them get into a college that was, maybe middle of the road, they would have done well. They would have
mhm.
done great. They would have probably gotten A's and B's and stuff. But because they're forcing them to allow these black people to get in to prove like, oh, we're letting in the quota, okay, it's literally they're suffering because of it, but it's like the end, it doesn't matter, right? The end justifies the means. It's like you guys are actually hindering them. It's like welfare, you know
I
you
have,
can't
I have,
you can't get ahead because you're pigeonholed into this little
right.
box of if you make $1 more than $2,000 a month, you don't get $600. Well, why would anybody want to go make more money if they're not going to get $600? Like,
Right.
yeah.
I got another instance of this actually. So in California a few years ago, they changed the standards of what it took to become a police officer,
Yeah.
and I mean they lowered their standards a lot. I had a friend of mine that tried out, and he had no problem getting in there. The problem in the police department down there is you have to basically pay all your expenses and stuff like that while you're going through the academy, and he just kind of ran out of steam and ran out of funds and just couldn't finish. But
Mm-hmm.
that was before they changed the standard. Now, and it's mostly physical standards. It's not, you still got to know the law. You still got to know certain statutes and all this kind of stuff before you can arrest somebody and do all that kind of stuff. But they've changed, and here's where I'm going with this. So when they change the physical standards of a job or an occupation like a police department, and say somebody that may not fit the standard that they used to have, if they're in a situation where they're feeling like they're in danger, what's the chances that they're going to be more likely to use a handgun, or they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be more likely to shoot somebody or use a weapon? It's
Yeah.
higher. So you can
Yeah.
almost blame. Now I don't know if any other states are doing this. I'm sure that they probably are. But in California, I know that they were giving, uh, especially it was minorities and women. And I'm not saying women are bad. There's a lot of people that I actually know a really good officer that lives up here.
Yeah.
But they were changing the standards so that they could make it in.
Yeah.
The Fair Hiring Act or whatever the hell they call it now. But um, so you're seeing people get in there that really probably had no business being there,
Yep.
and you put somebody like that under undue stress. They can't run away if they have to. They don't meet the physical standards, and they're not either strong enough, fit enough, or something is not really adequate. And I would say that the chances that they're going to use a gun to protect themselves is going to be higher in that instance than
Mm-hmm.
somebody that would be physically capable of, say, fighting if they
Yeah.
had to.
Well, and it's just like that, they want, a lot of people on the left want the what is it?
Equality.
The equality of outcome instead of equality of opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that as my path has taken me down road of holy crap, I'm a conservative. I never would have thought. Is like, the feminism.
we call that the rabbit hole.
Yes, I
It's
did.
getting
I went
bigger
down the
every
rabbit
day.
hole.
Right? It's
Yeah,
getting bigger every day.
yeah, yeah. But like feminism, that really like sends me through the roof, because it's like, oh, women suffer, women suffer, women suffer, and then you look at the statistics and men suffer a shit ton more, right? Obviously, women are going to be the ones that get raped more, right, or get murdered more, maybe with regard to domestic violence. Okay, I'm not denying that. You look at like suicides, workplace injuries. How many men have died going to war versus women, right? You're supposed to be a big tough man, so you don't want to cry, you don't want to do this stuff, right? But then you can't be too masculine because that's toxic masculinity, and it's just like it's insane. To me, that whole thing is crazy. It's like the women's march where they're wearing the pussy hats and everything. It's like, okay, so you are marching so that you can show your body to everybody, but you don't want men to tell you to show them your body, and you're trying to save all these
Or you
women,
don't want them to look at it.
yeah, you don't want them to look at it. And then did you save those women that work at the strip club down the street that you just passed? Like
Right.
it's insane to me. But yeah, that whole thing is,
Well,
um,
and on the same token of that, with the what was I going to say? So with the feminazis, that's what a lot of people call them. Like the strip club thing. If you look at the strippers, if they're any good, they're making more money than most of us. I mean,
yep.
they're taking home cash. They're not
But
paying
well,
taxes
yeah,
on that.
yep. Well, and they're okay with that though. They want everyone to be free and everything to the point of it being okay for them to be free. But
Hmm.
once you get past the point of somebody going, "Hey, what's up, girl?" then it becomes too much, and it's like, there was a meme I read. It said, "You don't." It said, "Getting dressed up and wearing makeup for yourself." We determined that was a lie during quarantine. It's true. Like women do not. I do not actively get dressed and get out of pajama pants and put on makeup and everything unless I'm going to present myself to public.
Right, right.
Okay. Like period, the end. It's the same thing. Girls aren't wearing, short skirts and hoochie makeup for themselves.
Well, nowadays it's not just going out in public. It's also TikTok. It's also
Oh,
Facebook. It's
yes,
also Instagram.
yes,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, for sure.
the thing is the feminists that you see now are not like the feminists you've seen back in the 60s and 70s.
Yes, agreed,
So,
100%.
the feminists back then, that was a movement. I mean,
Yeah,
people, the women wanted to be able to go to work. They wanted the same pay
yeah,
as the men did, for the same type of job. And that was great. I'm all for that.
yes.
Equal pay for equal work. Boom. I agree. I think that's
Hmm.
exactly what needs to happen. But then they get to the point and then they're like, okay, now we want a little bit more, and they want a little bit more, and they want a
Yeah,
little bit more. And there has to be a point when you say, enough, stop,
yeah.
back it
Well,
up a little bit.
yeah, well, and a lot of it comes down to, I've always said, like, the why matters. Somebody saying, "Oh, I have a flat tire." Okay, why do you have a flat tire? Do you have a flat tire because you have a nail in your tire, or do you have a flat tire because it's a blowout?
Hmm.
Two very different things. And why the woman is making more or less money than the man is, it's important. Okay. One of the biggest things when I read up on feminism and stuff, because I'm going down this rabbit hole, and I'm the whole time I'm like, everything's happening from Donald Trump announcing that this whole last 3.5 years, it's been this thing of like, why does this feel not right for me? Why do I feel like I don't agree with these women? Why do I feel like I don't agree with us taking away guns? Why do I feel this way? And a lot of what I realized is digging into the why. And one of the things was women are more agreeable than men, right? So for me, 100%, I've worked for my job for 16 and a half years from the time I was 21. And I have never once, not once, asked for a pay raise. I've never negotiated a pay raise, anything. Do you know how many men do that? I mean, they're great at haggling. Like my dad used to haggle the hell out of things. Like when he'd sell stuff, he's like, "No, I'm firm with 30, or whatever." Like women are way more agreeable than men, and that matters. It matters when it comes to that kind of stuff. Also, men are generally more willing to travel than women are, and then you get into the whole conversation about, well, it doesn't have to be that way, and it's just like, ugh. But it's okay for women to want a family
Right.
and to want to have kids. Like that is actually what we're kind of built to do.
Okay,
Like, you
okay.
know,
I'm gonna stop you right there because there's one thing when you're talking about haggling. Okay, so you guys do haggle. You guys do it in different ways. Um, so here's how you haggle. Okay, so you may not haggle over the price of anything or something like that out openly, but who is going to use a coupon more?
yeah,
That's your version of haggling.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys will have a coupon and they're like, I ain't using that damn thing. I'm just gonna buy it out and pay the regular price, because you don't want to
Yeah.
be, guys. Like, if there's a dude standing next to you, you're not gonna bust out a coupon because you're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be embarrassed by this. Screw that shit.
Yeah.
It's going back in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it for full price.
Yeah. No,
It
and
becomes a
not
kind of a
all.
status thing. You know what I mean?
No,
Uh,
100%. I agree with you on that. And not all, I mean, I don't want to put everybody obviously into a box or anything,
no,
but
I
generally
know.
speaking, men are naturally better with confrontation
Oh
than
yeah.
women are.
Well, we're
There are
built.
women that can fight, okay? Don't get me wrong. But like I'm not a huge like I go to a point, right? Like there's a pretty big, section where I'm down to talk and I'm okay with confrontation, but you know, men are naturally a little bit better with that and they're okay with standing their ground a lot more than women are. It's how we're built. It's just the whole thing with allowing, trans women or men, I don't even know which way it goes, to compete, in women's sports. I'm like, they're men. Like they literally are stronger than us.
Right.
Like
Well, and our,
I
you know,
don't understand.
so in the business that I'm in, I used to drill bowling balls for women, and your bodies are actually physically different, not just
Yes.
size wise. Your elbows are different. I was teaching this. It applies in a bunch of different ways, like shooting a gun,
Yep.
or drilling bowling balls for women. Believe it or not, it's there. It's a physical fact that elbows are more flexible on women. Your knees are more flexible than guys are because we have more muscle mass. There's a whole bunch of different things. Your hands are even built differently than ours are.
Yeah.
Ours are meant for more, and this could be from being cavemen or whatever. We are built more for hard work, strenuous kind of work than what ladies are, and so there's a point that comes to equality where you're not going to see. You may see one or two. You're not going to see a bunch. I mean, how often do you see? And I'm not saying that there's not, because I know that there are, because I know people that are. But how many women mechanics, do you see versus men mechanics?
Well,
It,
yeah, and well, that's the whole
it's a big
argument
difference.
about yep, equity of outcome and equity of opportunity. Is that okay? If you're talking equity of outcome, okay, that means there's supposed to be for 100 bricklayers, 50 of them should be women.
Yeah.
What 50 women are going to sign up for that job?
Not many. I mean, you
Yeah,
might
I
get
mean,
lucky to get 10.
exactly. That's the same thing, and that means what? How many? I mean, think of housekeeping.
Yeah.
It's a more of a women's profession.
Yep.
Like how many men are going to want to go clean a house?
And how many another good example of this is how many guys are going to go and sell makeup. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things there. So
Yes.
there's jobs that are suited for, unfortunately, and the other people on the other side are going to disagree, but there's different jobs that are suited for the different sexes. And
Yes.
I mean, you can completely have it in your head that you're one and be something else, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect for the job that you want. You're going to have
Yep.
to adapt to it or whatever. But to be honest with you, is the kind of job that I do. One of the best mechanics I ever worked with was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I will never be shy about saying that. I think she did a great job. And the reason I say she was a great mechanic was because most guys, when we go in to tear stuff apart, shit goes everywhere, right? We got the parts going this way and parts going this way, and you can't find your 10 millimeter wrench, and you got bolts that are missing and all. This woman, and she was like 18 years old, so she was a young lady, could take every bolt apart and had it all organized and can do it just as quick as someone that was throwing shit everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
put it all back together, and it was twice as clean, and it ran
Yeah.
for a long time. It's a different mindset all the way around.
But it's also like the desire to do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. How many women want to do that? There are women that want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, right? Like I love going to AIH. I think going to AIH is like Candyland. I just think it's cool. Like there's so many different little things and like different chains, and
Right.
I don't know what any of it does, but I'm down to walk around AIH, but not every girl is like that,
Right.
So Yeah.
And I think that our little group with the rallies and stuff we kind of went off track a little bit on that, but like we like jumped rabbit holes and went down like another one. So
I think I kind of yanked us. I'm sorry.
And no, you didn't. This is one of those things that this is why I think me and Sarah work so well together, is we can literally like change subjects and it's like we don't miss a beat. So I think we've been on now for, I don't know, like an hour and a half. But the thing that I want everyone that goes out to these rallies to do is come up and meet us. A lot of people haven't done that yet. And, I don't know if they're scared to do that or they think that we're too busy or whatever. I want you guys to come up and meet us. I want you to shake our hands, give us a hug, whatever you feel like doing, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I know some people are a little weird with the 6 foot thing, but you know what, whatever makes you comfortable, come up and say hi to us. And I mean that even with people on the left. I'm not going to bite you hard. I think that by now everybody that knows me and knows Sarah knows that we have the best intentions for both the city and the people that come to our rallies. We want to make sure you're safe. We want to make sure you're having fun, and we just want to continue to keep giving that. We're in a critical time right now in the city. I said that earlier, and we want to not let up. It's like tackling somebody or wrestling somebody. You don't ever want to let up, because then they may turn around and win.
Also, we need to do another Back the Blue rally.
Yes. Yeah. So
because that is a big deal, and there was a lot of people there, and I think a lot of people that weren't in our group, weren't in even Save Anchorage, showed up because I shared it to a bunch of different pages. I think that rally really showed me like, okay, like to the core, I really believe that Anchorage has hope. It really did, because it was a lot of people came out, and I didn't recognize a lot of the people.
And that was on a different day also. That wasn't on a Tuesday. We held that one on a Thursday. So, I mean, you're starting to see the devotion that people have to their city. You're starting to see devotion that people have to, their fellow neighbors. And people are tired. They're done. They want something else.
Yep.
And we have to give it to them, and we're going to give it to them. And, if you come up with ideas and stuff, send it to us, because right now we're just kind of throwing things back and forth between us and another little group. And, there may be a better idea out there that we haven't seen yet or haven't come across. So by all means, message me or Sarah, and we'll see what we can do. We don't like to shoot things down, but, some things work better for different things. I've been doing this for a while. I'm kind of like the veteran. She's like the rookie. So we're teaching her the ropes a little bit, and she's doing a damn good job. I'm not sure who's teaching who, honestly. I think she's come up with most of the ideas, so I'm just there for moral support.
I'm like the little dog that's like, we should go do this. What about doing this?
Squirrel.
We can do this, right?
Squirrel. But anyway, I think we should get off here. Let everybody go to bed.
Yes.
It is a little late. I don't even know what time it is. I can't see my time. So, and we're down to 14 people, so people are getting tired of hearing us talk. So, anyway, Sarah, thanks for coming on. This is your first experience doing a live video with me, so I want to do this more often. I want to do this with people from the city of Anchorage, and kind of get your take on things. And I want to do these a little bit more often. I'm still trying to come up with a name for this whole thing. Sherman Tank's my persona, and that's kind of what this is based off of. But I think that I should have a name. I used to use the Eagle's Nest, but that was in California. I want something different, maybe the Bear's Den or something. I don't know.
The Bears?
Yeah, you never know. So help me come up with some names for a podcast or a vlog. I guess we can call it a vlog. It's not really a podcast, it's a vlog. Help me come up with a name for it, and if we find something that works, then you'll get the credit for it. So tune in next time. Again, thank you, Sarah, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come on with me anytime. So I don't have a specific day or time or whatever. I think, after events is a good time to go on, but I do want to come on at least once a week and kind of fill you guys in. But anyway, this is Sherman Tank, or Dustin Sherman, and this is Sarah Boyer, and we are going to say good night, and we will see you at the next event. Hey, stay tuned.